Wake up! It's time to talk about Guinaifen.
Never too early! For a happy new year!
Because what if I told you that one of the most interesting characters in Honkai Star Rail isn't a demigod, a powerful warrior, an emanator, or even a trailblazer, but instead is a silly streamer gal who rose up from nothing.
Take it all in at Guinaifen Show.
For those that need a refresher, Guinaifen is a 4-star Nihility fire character who was introduced as a playable character all the way back in version 1.4 back in 2023. However, she already made her first appearance all the way back at launch, with her being the focal point for the subscribe for more light cone, so she's been around for a while. There's actually quite a big chance that you already have her in your collection, as she's a very common character in both character banners and is also a part of the Stellar Warp standard banner. She's also just a pretty solid DPS for the early game, and I even love using her in the late game. But she's often overlooked because of all of this. Everyone has her and knows about her, but her backstory and her personality go way deeper than meets the eye. Guinaifen is listed as being associated with the Xianzhou Lofu, and at first glance you can easily take that at face value, due to her clothing and also her attacks. But even just a cursory look at her dialogue and character stories reveal a very tragic background. Her real name is Guinevere, and she's an outsider to the Lofu, born on a planet called Camelot, which she herself describes as a tranquil paradise, where her family had a long and distinguished history. She, her parents, and more than a dozen siblings were living inside the mansion of the Lord Protector, which was a huge house with a large garden the size of Aurum Alley. According to Guinaifen, the house stood for multiple Amber eras, and considering an Amber era can last between 76 and 240 years, this means that her house could have been hundreds of years old. Her family had both status and wealth, being part of the planet's aristocracy. Her father was a minister for the people of Court Camelot, but there were shady rumors circulating that he made the planet's king his puppet, persecuted honest members of the court, and became wealthy through greed. Young Guinevere, of course, didn't want to believe these rumors, but she also knew that some of them had to have been true. But all of these political things weren't important to young Guinevere. She wasn't being trained or educated to enter politics like some of her siblings were. Guinevere was supposed to live a safe, happy, and kinda privileged life in Court Camelot, while her siblings took care of the serious problems and political landscape. But everything changed when the Antimatter Legion attacked. The followers of the Aeon Nanook invaded the planet and wreaked havoc on a scale Guinevere had never seen before. Her father died leading the army protecting the planet's royal capital, and her mother fought alongside the last remaining servants willing to stand up to the destruction. Guinevere, alongside her siblings and at least one knight, the Stonewall Knight, fled the planet before it was razed to the ground, and Guinevere's safe and privileged life died alongside the planet. The siblings eventually found themselves on the planet Hombert Sigma. It was an awful planet filled with mostly fungi and hostile life forms with barely an atmosphere to support life. The only reason humans were even living there is because of the IPC, because they had found mineral ores inside the planet, and thus turned it into a poverty-stricken mining planet. This is where Guinevere spent her forming teenage years. Guinevere, being the ever-social person, quickly made friends with people around her age. The son of a poor man, the brother of a gambler, the sister of a murderer, or the daughter of a fellow refugee. Guinevere did not mind people's backgrounds, as everyone was equally worthless in the eyes of both the IPC and this godforsaken planet. The Stonewall Knight, who was once a close friend to their father, quickly became the new father figure to Guinevere and her siblings, as they were struggling to make ends meet. Eventually, after many arguments, Stonewall agreed to let the 3 eldest siblings work in the mines with him, as his health was also deteriorating quickly. When the Stonewall passed, so did any sense of coherency among the siblings. The eldest brothers quickly became interstellar pirates, where they became legends among the stars, and young Guinevere could also fill her stomach again. But she also knew that this life was dishonorable and was nothing like what their father had wanted for any of them. So when the IPC arrested her and handed her and most of her younger siblings over to the Cloud Knights of the Xianzhou Luofu, of which her brother had raided a ship, she hoped that all the siblings could at least die together in dignity. However, Guinevere's story did not end here. While we do not know exactly what happened, her brother swore compliance to the Luofu and was pardoned alongside all the siblings. The young ones were sent to schools, and eventually her brother urged Guinevere and the others to seek a future elsewhere. But feeling indebted to the people of the Luofu, young Guinevere chose to stay. Her brother is also still around on the Xianzhou Luofu.
I've got more than a dozen siblings. One of them is my older brother. He's also living on the Xianzhou. His name is Long Shirla, but he seems to prefer being called Lancelot.
However, life as an outsider on the Luofu isn't easy. The Alliance in general is very strict towards outsiders, and even those who get to stay are often met with suspicion and dismissal. Guinevere had also lost all of her friends from Hombert Sigma, and her siblings were elsewhere doing whatever they needed to do, so it's not hard to imagine that Guinevere felt alone and isolated at this time. That is, however, until she met one of her first real friends on the Luofu, the Cloud Knight Sushang, with who she immediately became close friends with.
Xianzhou is my best friend. Aside from my street performing brothers, she's the person I've known the longest on the Luofu. I wanted to become sworn sisters with her, but she didn't seem interested.
And it was actually Sushang who gave her a name befitting the Xianzhou Luofu, Guinaifen.
My name is Guinaifen. Gui means wood, Nai means to exist, and Fen means fragrant. Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? I usually do juggling performances on this side of Exalting Sanctum. Remember to come see the show when you have the chance. My real name is Guinevere. Guinaifen is the Xianzhou name Xianzhou gave me. Who is Xianzhou, you ask? She's my best friend, Sushang, the Cloud Knight. Have you met her?
It is also around this time where she embraced her new life as a street performer to go alongside her adoration for the culture of the Xianzhou. Having learned basic skills like juggling from her brothers while they were on the street, she quickly added to her repertoire with things like slurping noodles during a handstand, brushing teeth while whistling, smashing boulders on chests, both hers and Sushang's.
Hey! My bestie and I have a special treat for you. Boulder smashing!
Blocking a pike with her neck, sword swallowing, and even bullet catching. All of these amazing theatrics and acrobatics quickly gave her both an audience and also enough income to clothe and feed herself. She now often live streams her performances to her fans under the nickname Lil Gui, given by Sushang of course. And she also often ropes at Cloud Knight into her performances. The Guinevere, who was destined to live a safe, peaceful and privileged life on Court Camelot, had reinvented herself into Guinaifen, a passionate and happy street performer on the Xianzhou Luofu. Her new cheerful and positive outlook on life shines through every event we meet her in, starting with Ethereum Wars, where she is one of our many opponents and gleefully introduces herself to us, cementing the coming friendship.
Someone's full of energy. You don't look like a Xianzhou.
How observant! You're right, I'm not a Xianzhou native. My real name is Guinevere, but a Xianzhou friend came up with an authentic Xianzhou name based on the pronunciation. Guinaifen. Gui means means fine wood, Nai means to exist, and Fen means fragrant. Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
Ever since then, she's appeared as a guest in many fun events, being found on places like Penacony and happenings like the Luminary War Dance to cheer us on, partake in fun activities, or just to be a goofball. But her most pivotal role so far has to be in the Trailblaze Continuance chapter, A Foxian Tale of the Haunted.
What's up, guys? Little Gwei here. We've come to the scariest, most haunted place in the Luofu, Fyxestroll Garden. Don't forget to like, follow, and share, or else I'm gonna chicken out. They say there's been paranormal activity. You're such a scaredy cat. You said you'd protect me. How do I stop something that's in my body? I think I just saw something moving.
And a group of flames suddenly grew super big, and then they floated right out to us, and they were like, ah! And Sushong was like, eek! And then she fell over.
Miss Sushong, can you get up? Aren't you getting cold?
Where her shining and social personality absolutely steal the spotlight. In this event, you, alongside Guinaifen, Sushong, and Ho-Ho, form a special team tasked with investigating escaped heliobi from the Xianzhou's Fyxestroll garden. You do this by harnessing Guinaifen's special power, social media, scouring the Ghostly Grove forum for ghost sightings, solving them, and using Little Gwei's name to stop the spread of panic and increase your follower numbers. This event has cemented the trio of Guinaifen, Sushong, and Ho-Ho as a staple when it comes to funny shenanigans and also just cameo appearances. Keep an eye out next time, maybe you'll see this trio doing something weird again.
This is the long
Ghost, ghost, ghost. What ghost?
You scared me.
Now, if it wasn't clear already from the sheer minutes I was rambling unhinged about her backstory, I love Guinaifen a lot. I love using her in teams as a DPS, I love it whenever we see her in an event, and I love her backstory. To me, Guinaifen represents reinvention and perseverance. The life that was destined for her, calm, privileged, and peaceful, was violently taken from her and forced her into poverty. Only after being given a new chance and a helping hand from her new best friend, did she turn her life back around and focus on the things that made her the happiest. The arts, her friends, and the good food on the Xianzhou. But her current happy personality could very well still be a coping mechanism, as she's had to deal with so much trauma and moments where her life felt like it was worthless. But I like to think that her happiness is genuine, and she strives to give others the same happiness and lift them up from any dark pits they could be in. I also love her relationship with Sushong, as the two are both very different, but also very similar, and the genuine love and affection shows through every time they appear on screen. Even when the other isn't present, they always manage to mention them. Another thing that strikes me as unique is the fact that she's successful, or at least stable. Like, she's a typical cheery, Genki, jester type character who practices the arts. Usually these type of characters are either wandering nomads, relatively poor, or struggling artists to find an audience. But Guinaifen is none of that. She has a home, income, and knows that what she's doing is both loved and appreciated, which, you know, as a starting content creator is kind of the dream. Anyway, I really hope Guinaifen gets another main role in the story someday, as her personality and story is unique even among the huge cast of Honkai Star Rail. Her backstory really deserves some more content in my eyes. Who knows, maybe the path of the Trailblaze reaches the remnants of Court Camelot eventually. I also just want 4-star characters to get some more love and attention in general, as aside from a few standouts, many amazing stories and characters get wasted with both uninspired kids and also not the screen time they deserve. Looking at you, Yukong. But what is your favorite character backstory in Honkai Star Rail? Please let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, as I post regular deep dives and reviews into the games that I love.
The gong... The gong rings loud, performers crowd round. Hey, that sounded pretty good. Huh?